So, you guys hear they're making Super Troopers Part 3? Do you even remember that there was a Part 2? I don't know. In other news, do you remember when iDubbbz used to be good? No, but for real though. Meow, let's get back on Cat.
1, 2, 3, let's do it!
They've been waiting for a second chance. Waiting for their country to need them again. That time is Meow.
What do you guys give me if I kill that bird? Farver, that's a bald eagle. Get away, Baldy! Yeah! Guys, what do I win?
A one-way ticket to hell.
Fired for their previous shenanigans, former Vermont Highway Patrol officers Thorny, Farva, Rabbit, Foster, and Mac get a shot at redemption from Captain O'Hagan and Governor Jessen. The wacky quintet must provide law enforcement for a French-Canadian town that's transitioning to U.S. sovereignty. Their unconventional methods soon get put to the test when they encounter a smarmy mare, mischievous mounties, a smuggling ring, and a 1,300-pound bear. So the original Super Troopers, it was one of the surprise hits of the 2000s. It was one of those comedies that sort of introduced the world to the comedy troupe known as Broken Lizard. And I've liked most of the movies they made after that. I liked the first Super Troopers. I really liked Beer Fest. I think I liked it just a little bit more than Super Troopers, but not by a whole lot. They're both kind of neck and neck. It's been forever since I've seen Slammin' Salmon, but I remember watching it a long time ago, and I thought it was decent. So, yeah, I like Broken Lizards. They sort of fall into that category of, like, comedy troupe that have their own style, like sort of like the Happy Madison guys or Upright Citizens Brigade or the Adam McKay, Gary Sanchez crew with Will Ferrell and all of his friends. But what differentiates them from those other comedy troupes is it feels like they come out every once in a great while to make a movie. They don't just consistently make movies every other year, sort of like those groups did back in the 2000s. Broken Lizard would pop up every once in a blue moon to make a new movie. And like I mentioned in the intro, I guess they're making a third Super Troopers. I completely forgot there was a second one. As it turns out, I have the DVD of it. Completely forgot that I had that. So while I was cleaning out my DVD collection, I was like, hey, why not rewatch that and talk about it for a video? I watched it once, never thought of it ever again, and decided, you know what? Why not rewatch it and see how it holds up? I watched it the one time, get to check it out again and see if it holds up. And the answer is, not really. It's not as good as the first Super Troopers. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't really like Super Troopers or any of the comedy from Broken Lizards, but as somebody that grew up watching this movie a lot as a kid, and then later getting into their other movies as I got older, it's hard for me to even say Super Troopers is bad. It's like, it's certainly not for everyone, but I'd be damned if I didn't say, no, I like Super Troopers a lot. I really like this movie. But as for this movie, it's not that I don't like it. In fact, honestly, compared to some of the other legacy sequels we've talked about here, like Zoolander 2 or Bad Santa 2 or any of those kind of movies, I think it's probably the best of those, even though that's not really a high bar. Considering the plethora of other legacy sequels that just feel like extended Super Bowl commercials where they just get a bunch of people who are 20 years too old to be replaying these characters. But the biggest compliment I can give to Super Troopers 2 is that it is better than those, even if that's not saying much. So right away, this movie begins with a fantasy sequence, which was really reminding me of another cop comedy with the Reno 911 movie. But anyway, the fantasy sequence in this movie has them as a rock and roll band who are touring around and they get pulled over by some cops who, even in the movie's universe, they specifically point out are Damon Wayans Jr. and Stifler from American Pie.
Still love those guys.
Yeah, they're cool as hell.
I had the craziest dream.
Who are the cops this time?
Stifler and Damon Wayans Jr.
But eventually, when we snap out of the fantasy sequence, we see that, yes, these guys are no longer Vermont Highway Patrolmen, or even like Vermont State Police, like at the end of the first movie. So right away, there is that sense of, oh, they kind of take a shit all over the end of the first movie, where they got promoted from being the lovable screw-ups on the Highway Patrol to now they're finally bumped up to being actual police officers, and people are going to take them seriously because they saved the day. This one begins with, apparently they got into some kind of predicament that ended up costing their jobs, and they keep referring to it as some kind of ride-along incident involving Fred Savage.
and then you get kicked out from your second job because of this Fred Savage thing.
Savage. Makes it sound intriguing, at least.
But at the end of the movie, there's a mid-credit thing where we actually do get to see what the event was. The event involved Fred Savage playing himself, and he ended up getting hit by a car because he tagged along for research for some Sci-Fi Channel movie he was working on.
No, it's actually a new show for the Sci-Fi Channel. Kind of a small-town alien invasion show called Vermontsters.
Ah.
And what happens is he is trying to help them save a cat out of a tree, but he jumps out. You think that he's going to get hurt and fall, but he ends up landing on his feet. And something that looks like it's straight out of an old fucking Smosh skit from YouTube back in like 2012, he ends up getting hit by a car.
And you motherfuckers want some pussy?
Yeah. This sequence feels like it should have been the thing at the beginning of the movie to sort of set the stage, but they were like, no, that's not cool. That's not a way to get people hyped up. Even though story-wise it probably would have made more sense, but you know, I guess they decided to just put it off and put it off and put it off, and then finally they make it a mid-credits thing, which honestly wasn't even that great as a mid-credits thing. They're no longer cops, they're all just working a bunch of odd jobs. They're working construction, and in the case of Thorny, he's working as like a mountain man cutting down trees. Ursula, I think was her name, the blonde chick that Foster was getting into, you know, that they fell in love in the first movie. She is in this movie for like less than 2 minutes. She shows up once at the beginning, and then like, I think in the middle of the movie, there's a part where they're on like a video call. That's the only time they ever have her show up.
What's up, Foster?
He is all yours. I'm tired of him riding in my sidecar anyway.
That's not what you said last night.
That was just kind of odd. I was thinking, like, what was that actress doing? I mean, shit, she was in Freddy Got Fingered more than she was in this movie.
I tell you the other. Oh yeah, I got a triangulator.
Why would you need a triangulator?
Why does everyone keep saying that? To triangulate, baby.
But all the guys get together for a big fishing trip, and it turns out the whole thing was a setup by their old captain.
I didn't tell you up front, because you tend to be a bunch of wide-mouthed bassholes.
Well then, why don't you let me reel in these fish, John?
Governor Chessman?
Get all these guys together and tell them that this small little Quebec town is going to be going into, going to be considered American soil, apparently. Which all throughout the movie they keep flip-flopping back and forth as to whether or not it actually is Canadian or U.S. But this just paves the way for the endless amounts of culture clash jokes of Americans versus Canadians.
Aren't you guys still ruled by the Queen of England? I mean, she's all over your money.
I'll have you know that we achieved our independence in 1982.
Did Wham perform at the ceremony?
Yeah, maybe if we had our independence sooner, we'd have no gun control, not believe in evolution, and all be morbidly obese without health care.
Oh, you silly, silly, silly 2018 people. Just wait until the hellscape that is 2020.
You're gonna come up here talking all that make America great crap, you're bound to catch a face full of Canadian tomato.
This is surprisingly the only kind of Trump joke throughout the whole movie. Which, considering the mid to late 2010s where there was a butt ton of Trump jokes, that's surprisingly scarce. Though considering the next movie is apparently going to be about them going on some kind of adventure in Mexico, it makes me wonder if it's going to be the same deal or if it's going to be even worse considering how things have gotten in the real world. So these guys are going to be put on some kind of 2-week program to see if they can go through with taking care of things and do their old highway patrolman jobs, except this time for this small town, welcoming it into being U.S. sovereignty. And like I said, a lot of this movie is built on American culture versus Canadian culture jokes. There is a lot of it. And while I don't think it was as bad as something as Yoga Hosers I thought was a way worse movie, I will say this movie does have as many jokes about, hey, Canadians have funny accents. Oh, Canadians do things so much differently compared to Americans.
Hey, fellas, any chance you can come over to the house later and play some Sorry?
Sure, how about 9 o'clock?
Oh, 9 o'clock doesn't work. Sorry about that.
And especially a lot of the French jokes that are in this movie, those jokes felt like something from like the 80s or 90s. Like, there's just so many jokes of, oui, oui, pardon, oh, fatwa, oh, frère Jacques. There's just so many jokes of French accents are funny.
The key to life is a penis in your asshole.
The key to life is happiness in your household.
Oui, the key to life is a penis in your asshole.
I'm trying to tell her that.
What do you think I say?
A penis in your asshole.
Sacre bleu, no! You Americans think everyone wants to fuck you. No one wants to fuck you.
And the thing is, I'm not even like, oh man, they can't make those jokes. Oh, that's offensive. I'm not like that at all. But it's like, it just felt weird. It just felt like old material. Like shit, I remember them making these French jokes all the way back in fucking Rush Hour 3 when that came out in like, I don't know, 2007. So with that premise, the movie just kind of becomes a series of vignettes. It's just comedic set piece after comedic set piece. And usually I complain about that kind of shit in movies. I really hate when movies are just structured like that. I mean, if you want to do a skit comedy movie, just do a skit comedy movie. But in this movie's defense, I can't really complain about that because that's essentially what the first movie was like. And speaking of, this movie does the same shit that they did with other legacy sequels in that there are a bunch of callbacks and little references to the first movie.
Ramrod. You're out, he's in.
A few years ago, you pulled me over and you played some game where you said meow.
Buddy, I've said 1,000 stupid things to people over the years.
Are you a mutant? You follow me out here while I'm pissing just to tell me this shit? Quit looking at my dick.
I'm not looking at your dick. We're taking a piss.
So piss.
I don't have to go.
This place wishes it was shenanigans.
Welcome to Chicaneries, eh? Liter of cola?
What did you say?
Do you want a liter of cola?
You have that here?
Enhance.
All right, but what is this place?
Enhance. Enhance.
Okay.
And every time they did shit like that, part of me would think, yeah, that's cute. But then the other part of me would just feel bad because it's like, oh, yeah, just remember when we did this in the first movie? You remember, I remember. That's one of the things that just kills any and all interest I have for legacy sequels now. Like, I remember back in, like, the early 2010s, it's like, oh, man, they're getting the gang back together. Oh, they're making a new one of these. Oh, that should be fun. It'll be great to see everybody come back together. But considering that's almost all we have now with comedy movies, the few that there are in the 2020s, it just kind of feels sad now. It's like the landscape has become so oversaturated with them. While I didn't hate this movie, there is that feeling of the first movie was such lightning in a bottle energy. You're not going to get that the same time around. We've seen it already. We don't need to see it again. As for what's different this time around, instead of going up against the state police patrol, this time they're going up against 3 mounties who are played by Dale from Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, Will Sasso, and some third guy who I don't remember because I looked him up and a lot of his credits were just a bunch of TV stuff.
Danny DeVito is the actor from Taxi, but that guy I like, he come out on Always Sunny and Philadelphia's.
But they're the same guy. How many 145-centimeter actors do you think there are?
They basically serve the exact same purpose that the cops in the first movie did. They're the officials that they have to go up against, and there's a bunch of petty dickery and fighting that goes on between them. And we get a couple of set pieces. The Mounties decide to fuck with these guys by putting a bear in their police station, and it results in some shenanigans. The punchline to the scene ends with Farva running outside while being chased by the bear, and he ends up trying to hide in a porta potty that ends up getting knocked over. I couldn't help but be reminded of when they did the exact same thing in Furry Vengeance. And that's probably the first and only time someone will ever go, hey, I remember they did that in Furry Vengeance. So they get back at the Mounties, they kidnap them while they're watching a hockey game, because they're Canadian, and of course Canadians, they love their hockey.
Oh, the fucking phone's ringing during hockey night in Canada.
Calling during hockey night in Canada!
But they kidnap them in the middle of the night. They're supposed to be wearing gas masks because they knocked them out with tear gas. And then they put on ski masks that do a really shit job hiding their mustaches. But they take them, strip them, paint them red, white, and blue, and then dump them off in the middle of the woods so they have to try and find their way back.
Come on, you can't leave us out here. We are at least 100 kilometers in the woods. Maybe more, huh?
We also have the mayor of this town, who's weirdly enough played by Rob Lowe in a really goofy-looking wig and doing a really goofy Canadian accent.
I am Mayor Guy Lafront, Mayor Saint-Georges de Laurent, Canada, or as it's about to be known, St. George of Lawrence, America.
He's the big celebrity draw for the movie, but to be honest, he's in the movie for like 3 scenes. In fact, he's gone for a long stretch of the movie to the point where he shows up at the end. I'm like, fuck, I totally forgot he was even in the thing. There's also this lady who's working with him who, I'm blanking on the actress's name, but she's been in a bunch of stuff. She was Claire, the fake love interest from Snow Day. She was also in Entourage, and she was the main love interest in You Don't Mess with the Zohan. She's been in a bunch of different stuff, and she's the love interest for Rabbit in this movie.
You a doctor?
No, I coach the girls hockey team, so I know my way around the gash.
Are you making a...
Oui, a double entente for la vagine.
While they do have some decent chemistry, the entire time I was just like, this is just another thing they're repeating from the first movie. The subplot with Foster and Ursula. Granted, the outcome is a little bit different. They threw a monkey wrench in that department. We'll get to that when we get to the end of the movie. But yeah, I mean, even down to the whole Farva kind of has a thing for her. There's a lot of that.
Hey, Guinevere, how about the two of us go over to the Saskatchewan Palace and get a wang dang doodle?
No.
Ooh, woof woof, put a little bark on that and I'll bite.
On top of that, they also do the same thing where there's some kind of drug smuggling going on and they end up having to figure out what's going on. In the first movie, it was like a shit ton of like cannabis from South America. In this movie, it's a bunch of pills, and their captain tells them they need to take it to a lab to examine it, but they decide to play guinea pig and they decide to take the drugs, and all of them have different reactions. Like, Farva ends up going limp and he can't control his body.
I'm numb. I'm totally numb. Okay. What are you doing?
Oh! Rabbit gets really hopped up.
I will fucking put my fist right through your head.
I'm thinking roids.
Absolutely.
Mac is on acid, and he's what ends the scene out because he gets so fucked up on acid he sees the rest of the guys as like geishas. And then he ends up stripping ass naked and running outside.
I love grass! I love life! I love music!
Foster is like prancing around and dancing and frolicking.
Purchase a schoolgirl well should be, filled to the rim with girlish glee, we little mates from school.
And as for Thorny, he ended up taking estrogen, a Canadian estrogen.
I think you took a Canadian female sexual enhancement drug called Flova Scotia.
And they start having side effects, like his mustache hair starts ripping out.
Are you wearing a mustache wig?
No, it's a postiche, okay? I'm having a little hair loss. Don't worry about it.
And ever grossly, he starts lactating at the end of the movie.
Dude, are you lactating?
I'm just doing what my body tells me to do, okay?
As the movie goes on, they really start to hate the Mounties more and more, so they start to suspect that they're connected to the drug ring, kind of like the cops in the first movie again. But what happens is Rabbit and Guinevere, that was her name, his love interest for this movie, they end up getting kidnapped and taken by the actual drug smugglers. So the rest of the cops book it down there, and it turns out it was Rob Lowe. He has some kind of drug connection to some higher up drug cartel. We don't really figure out much about that, which that becomes a punchline later. But it turns out the Mounties actually aren't connected to all of this, and they were about ready to be killed along with the rest of the cops until eventually everybody springs into action. They all look out for each other, so the Mounties and the cops are no longer angry at each other. They end up saving Rabbit, and at first you think Guinevere is actually working with them. They pull that as a twist.
What the fuck took you so long, Guy? First I have to have a circumcised dick in me, and then you tie me to this log?
As it turns out, she's actually working undercover, and she was actually infiltrating Rob Lowe's little underground ruse the whole time for 3 years to try and get enough dirt on him to lock him away. And then Rabbit actually does end up getting hurt because they tied him and Guinevere to a log, and they were going to have the blade split them in half, and he was really afraid about getting ripped in half penis first. But they got the blade to stop just in time, but then when he finds out about all this, he leans forward and the blade hits his crotch. But it seems that she still likes him because before he's taken away in an ambulance, she says that she still kind of likes him, and who knows, maybe they'll get together.
Maybe you and I could get together and listen to some old-timey French music. When that gets all healed up.
Yeah, sure.
The Mounties and the cops seem to be on better terms. They all talk about how, yes, we were once enemies, but now we're basically one and the same. Canadians, Americans, we're all the same, right?
Actually, I'm here to tell you that the U.S. and Canadian governments have decided to postpone the turnover until the rest of the hidden contraband is found.
So then they go back to hating each other and they all beat the shit out of each other. Even though I mentioned that a lot of the jokes from the first movie are repeated as a really lame way of just like, hey, it's the thing from the first movie. You remember that? I remember. You remember? While there is a little bit of that, I give the movie credit for not relying on it too much. I mean, it does feel like the movie goes to a grinding halt when it gets to those parts, but they didn't do it as much as other crap legacy sequels I've seen. And while some of the new stuff in this I didn't think was nearly as good as the stuff in the first movie, in a weird way, the first Super Troopers kind of was like the first Bad Santa, in that it was a movie that was just kind of in its own lane. It wasn't a super mega hit, but it did really well with a lot of audiences, and critics seemed to enjoy it fine enough. And so once it got to home video, a lot of people were discovering it more and more, and it became this big culty classic. And I feel like it's sort of the same deal here. It's like once you get to this legacy sequel, they had more money compared to the first one. And while it seems like they wanted to make this one, it doesn't have that same lightning in a bottle energy that the first movie had, where it just felt like it came out of nowhere, and it's like, whoa, this is great. This one had more of a budget to work with. This one had more of a marketing push to it. It didn't really have that same kind of surprise that the first movie had. At the same time, I wasn't angry while watching this. Compared to some of the other legacy sequels I've seen, like, you can go back to my reviews of those other movies I mentioned. Like, Bad Santa 2, when I was in high school, I probably liked it, but rewatching it, it's like, yeah, no, this is not as good as the first movie. I don't hate it like some other people do. I'm just kind of disappointed. And Zoolander 2, I thought, there was like one or two things that I thought were funny. I didn't really start laughing until the third act when Will Ferrell came back. And that's a real statement right there. When Will Ferrell was the funniest thing in your movie, that is really saying something. This movie, on the other hand, I don't know. Maybe it caught me on a good day. Maybe I was just looking for something to laugh at. There was a decent number of things in there that I did laugh at that were not just blatant references to the first movie. A few of those did make me laugh. But there are a few jokes scattered throughout where I'm like, okay, that actually got a good laugh out of me. That's kind of funny. But otherwise, yeah, just stick with the first Super Troopers. I'd say if you're going to watch one of these kind of movies, just watch this. Or hell, watch some of the other Broken Lizard movies. I think they're genuinely good. I highly recommend Beer Fest. If you can find a copy of it, if you can find it anywhere on video or on streaming, watch Beer Fest. I think that one's pretty good. I gotta say, though, this does make me want to go back and rewatch some of the other ones. Like, fuck, I haven't seen Slammin' Salmon in forever, so who knows? I actually kind of want to go back and rewatch that now. So yeah, while it's probably an incredibly low bar, as of now, Super Troopers, not as good as the first one, but as far as legacy sequels go, I didn't hate it. It's flawed as hell, but, considering the day I've had, I was probably just in the mood to laugh at something. I was expecting it to not be very good, but I got a few laughs. I didn't entirely hate it. So, yeah. Poster. Put that on the poster for Super Troopers 3. As for what we're doing next time on Blockbuster Show, we're actually not going to be doing a review. We're going to be doing a bit of a retrospective, or I don't even know what to call these kind of videos. Like, I've seen a bunch of people, like, the YouTuber Diamond Bolts has done videos like this, where it's just kind of like quick shot reviews, like just kind of like little, like going through movies that fall into a certain category. I guess you could say retrospective, not entirely sure. But we're going to be doing a video talking about a subject that I've just been dying to talk about. I find this is a very fascinating subject. We're going to be talking about movies that are based on niches, trends, and fads. So things that were really popular in the moment that had movies based on them. Some of them good, some of them have gone on to be absolute classics, and others have been just forgotten, and others were just absolutely fucking terrible. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about next time. But until then, I'm Adam Sykes of The Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Are you swallowing M&M's whole?
Yeah. The green ones make me horny.